Hello, my name is Karmia and this is my friend Lazan. Welcome to Core Concepts Pilates and Rehabilitation in Cape Town, South Africa. Today we are going to do a tutorial about the basics of Pilates and the principles behind them so that you can do your exercises effectively and get the most benefit from the exercises. So this video, I would recommend that you maybe watch it first if you've never done Pilates, just so that you can see what we are doing, and then maybe re-watch the video and then try and do some of the exercises with us. So Lazan is going to lie on her back on the mat. Her knees are going to be bent with her feet about hip distance apart. And if you feel that your neck is really uncomfortable, maybe grab a rolled up towel or a block and just place that behind your neck so that your neck. So the first principle of Pilates is breathing. So let's just focus a little bit on that, and Lazan is going to place one of her hands at the top on her chest and one hand at the bottom on her belly button. So we are just going to take a few moments just to check in with our bodies and bring our focus to our breathing. So a lot of times we are rushing and we are stressed, and this is a good way just to calm the nervous system down, just to prepare your body for exercises so that we can do them effectively. And while you are lying there with your hands on your chest and on your tummy, just take a moment and feel, where do you feel the most of your movement underneath your hands? Maybe you feel it a little bit more on the chest, maybe you feel it more on the lower tummy. There isn't a right or a wrong way to breathe. For now, I just want you to focus and see what you are feeling in your body. And then we want to go into a little bit more of a deep breathing pattern. So as you inhale, you want to feel how your belly pushes up into your hand. That's your inhale. And then as you exhale, your belly will fall down towards the floor. So this is a nice deep diaphragmatic breath. It's really good to do this type of breathing if you are stressed, just to calm the nervous system down. So in Pilates, we can't always do breathing like that with specific exercises. So we want to use the bottom and the sides of the ribs a little bit more. So from there, Lazan is going to move her hands to the sides of her ribs. And she's going to inhale into her hands and then exhale and blow the air out. So this is called your lateral breathing. It's still a nice deep diaphragmatic breath, but with less tummy muscle activity or belly movement. When she inhales, she'll feel that her fingers are pulling apart, and then when she exhales, her fingers will come a little bit closer together. See if you can also feel that when you place your hands on the sides of your ribs. And we are going to do one more inhale. And then exhale. So we use this kind of breathing a lot in Pilates because we are stabilizing from our abdominals and there isn't so much space to breathe into. So we want to use the sides of the ribs and the lower lobes of the lungs a little bit more. From there, we are going to start by moving our pelvis. So on your next exhale, I want you to curl your tailbone between your legs and flatten your lower back into the floor so that there's as little space as possible between your back and the floor. And then on your inhale, relax your pelvis so your tailbone becomes heavier and you feel a little bit of an arch in the lower back. So exhale to flatten your back. And then inhale to arch your back. Keep going. So if you have any lower back pain or any injuries and you feel that the back is feeling very stiff, this is a great way to mobilize the lower back, and it should feel good and comfortable. It shouldn't cause pain. And then the next time you exhale, I want you to keep that position with the pelvis. So your back is as flat as it can go against the floor. Your tummy muscles are contracted and you might even feel the buttock muscles as well. So this position is called your posterior pelvic tilt. your imprinted position, or here at Core Concepts we call it your sad dog, tail between the legs position. Then on your inhale, I want you to arch the back again, so away from the floor, your tailbone becomes heavier. You will feel that the back muscles may pull a little bit with this position. So this is called your anterior pelvic tilt, your arched back, or your happy dog as we call it. So let's do a few more tilts. So exhale to sad dog, and then inhale to happy dog. Exhale, flatten your back, and inhale to arch the back. One more time. We flatten the back, and then we arch the back. Just pause for a moment when you've arched your back. We want to find a neutral position in your pelvis and your lower back. So from your happy dog position, go back about halfway to your sad dog. So we still want to see that there's a little bit of space between your lower back and the floor. We're not pressing the back into the mat. And you want to see that your two pelvic bones and your pubic bone are level with each other. So what you can also do is you can take the heels of your hands and place them on your two pelvic bones, and either your index finger or your middle fingers go then on your pubic bone, and you want to feel that your triangle is nice and level. Great stuff. And then place the hands down at your sides again. The reason why we focus or we want to get a neutral position is because your stabilizing muscles around the pelvis and the lower back switch on at their best when you are in this position. So just like we want to find neutral in your pelvis, we want to find neutral in your shoulder blades. We're going to reach the arms up towards the ceiling with your palms facing each other. On your inhale, I want you to reach your arms up like your fingertips can touch the ceiling. Your shoulder blades will pull away from each other and away from the mat. And then exhale to pull your shoulder blades towards your spine. So inhale, reach up. And then a common mistake is as you come down to bend the elbows. So now we're moving from the elbows and not from the shoulder blades. So let's try and keep the elbows straight. We reach up and then exhale, pull down. Good. So your movement is actually starting from the back, from the shoulder blades. Great. So we also want to find a neutral position in the shoulder blades. So let's reach the arms up one more time. And then just softly place your shoulder blades on the mat. So it's a nice wide and relaxed shoulder blade, no tension in the front of your chest and no squeezing between the shoulder blades. Then you can bring your arms down at your sides again. And just for a moment, I'm going to take the block away just so that we can move the neck a little bit. So we also, again, we want to find a neutral position with the neck. So you're going to nod your chin down to your chest and leaving your head on the floor. I just want you to lift your chin up and then exhale to bring the chin back down. So if you have any neck injuries or a sore neck, try not to strain the neck to go into these positions. You just want to feel what range of movement you do have. Then from there, we want to find that neutral position, which is a slight nod in the chin. And if you make a fist, your fist should fit between your chin and your chest. And then you can bring your arm down. So this is just the basic position, just to find all those neutral positions, and then you can start to do your exercises. The next exercise is called your hip roll or your pelvic curl. So we are going to lift the pelvis away from the floor. So we're going to inhale to prepare. And then on your exhale, I want you to curl your tailbone into sad dog, flattening your lower back into the floor. Keep exhaling and roll your pelvis and your spine up towards the ceiling. Inhale, and then exhale to roll back down again, all the way to the floor. Let's keep going with that. Inhale, exhale, your glutes activate. You squeeze the buttocks to push the pelvis up and you roll up one vertebra at a time. You inhale at the top and then again you roll down one vertebra at a time to place the spine down. So it's a glute strengthening exercise as well as a spinal mobility exercise. Good. And then roll back down. So a common mistake or compromise that we see in patients is that they can't maintain their side dog, their curl, and then when they lift up, they feel their lower back. So Lizanne is going to demonstrate that for us. So you will see that she arches a lot in her upper back, and her buttocks are not really lifted. They're sort of hanging down, and that puts a lot of strain on the lower back. So let's roll down so that she doesn't feel the lower back anymore. So it's really important that you curl your tailbone in, flattening your back and squeezing your buttocks as tight as you can. Then when you start to lift, the moment that you feel you're not getting that glute connection anymore, that's your cue to stop. So it differs from person to person, and you shouldn't feel lower back pain. You can press with the arms into the floor and pull those shoulder blades a little bit together to anchor from the top as well. So not everything is just coming from the pelvis. Nice inhale, and then exhale to roll back down again. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale on the floor. Exhale, curl your tailbone in, roll up all the way to the top. Inhale, and then exhale to roll down. And just be mindful that when you do this at home, you don't want to place any big blocks or big pillows behind your head when you do this. That might put some strain on the neck. Great. And then we roll back down again. Good. The next exercise is a simple stability exercise. So Lizanne is going to find her neutral position with her pelvis. She's going to just gently contract her tummy muscles so that she can still breathe comfortably but without bracing. So she doesn't want to pull her tummy muscles so tightly that she can't take nice deep breaths into the back, into the sides of her chest. So we want to keep the pelvis as it is at the moment while we move one of her legs. So she's going to place her right hand there on her right pelvic bone, and her right leg is not going to move. So she's going to pretend that I've placed my cup of coffee on her knee and she's not allowed to spill my coffee. So she's going to open her left knee towards my side and then pull the leg back. So if you feel that your hip is pushing up into your hand once you open the leg, then you'll feel you're not in your neutral position anymore. Come back. So think about pressing into the floor a little bit with that standing leg and pulling the tummy muscles a little bit tighter. And then as you open, you might not go as far. So rather a small and controlled movement than trying to open as wide as you possibly can. Good. Let's do about 3 more. And just notice what your body needs to do to get into this movement. Great. And 1 more. And then we are just going to switch sides and do about 5 on the other side. So as Lizanne is going to continue with the exercise, I want you to maybe play around with your breathing a little bit. So your breathing should always help you with your movement. We don't want you to hold your breath because then everything tightens up in the body and then you won't get a good exercise or movement out of this. So whichever direction of breath feels most comfortable for you, you can inhale to open the leg and then exhale to close, or you can reverse your breathing. And let's do 1 more. Great. So from there, Lizanne is going to turn onto her side. Good. So just like when Lizanne was lying on her back, we want to find a good starting position to do her side series in. So again, we start from the pelvis, and she's going to tuck her tail feathers into sad dog, and then push the tailbone out, happy dog. And again, sad dog, and then a happy dog. And then from there, find that neutral position, that halfway mark. So just keep in mind that your neutral position is a little bit more happy dog than sad dog. When we lie on the side, we also want to lift the bottom rib just off the floor. So she can just lift up so I can stick my hand underneath so you can see it's not at the waist, it's at the bottom rib. So if Lizanne relaxes all the way into my hand, she'll feel that there's no abdominal activity. I want her just to lift a little bit off my hand, just so that a row of ants would be able to walk underneath her ribs, so her tummy muscles are connected. She's going to use her top hand as a bicycle stand in front of her just to keep her body upright so that she doesn't roll back with her shoulders and her hips. You can also do this exercise or find this position while you are lying with your back against a wall. So you want to feel the shoulders, the pelvis, and your feet touching the wall. Your legs will be bent. So to keep this neutral position, we need to have that abdominal connection, and to challenge the stability, we're going to keep the feet together and open the knee, doing our clamshell, and then we close the leg again. We open the leg, and then we close. So if Lizanne is getting tired or she's trying to do the movement too big, she will feel that her body is rolling back and then come back. And that's not something that we want. So if you are doing this with your back against the wall, then you will feel that you will lean into the wall, and we are trying just to touch the wall with the back of our body. 2 more. You will also feel that your glutes will start to work, which is great. And let's do 1 more. And then lower the leg. Good. Then Lizanne is just going to sit up and swing her legs round to the other side, and then we'll just do the other side as well. So she's all nice and balanced when we are done. So your knees are bent, feet, pelvis, and shoulders in a line. Sad dog the pelvis, happy dog the pelvis. Find your neutral position. You've got a little bit of a lift in that rib, so they've got that space. Great. Hand in front of you. And then keeping the tummy muscles connected, we are going to open that top knee and close. Let's do about 5 on this side. So you will notice quite quickly that your 2 sides feel different. One side will feel a little bit heavier, one side will feel a little bit tighter, one side will feel easier, and that's completely normal. Nobody is symmetrical, and it's good that you start to notice the differences in your 2 sides. Good. And I think that's 5. Great. You are going to lie on your tummy from there. So when you are lying on your tummy, for now, make a triangle with your hands so your 2 index fingers and thumbs are touching, and that you can rest your forehead into your hands. So just like in your previous 2 positions, we want to find your neutral position with your spine. Your legs can just be comfortably apart so that you are not feeling too much strain in your lower back. When you are lying on your tummy, you want to think a little bit more sad dog with your pelvis to find your neutral position. The reason for that is if you can't maintain neutral, you'll start to hang into the lower back, and then you'll start to feel that it's sore in the middle of your back. So if it's pulling on either side, that's muscles. That's fine that you feel that, but we don't want to feel central lower back pain. So start by tilting the pelvis. So your pubic bone goes towards the floor, and you'll feel a little bit of an elongation through the back. Your tummy muscles will engage, and your glutes will activate as well. We are going to leave the hands and the forearms on the floor, and then on the next inhale, you're going to lift your head, neck, and chest until you are resting on your bottom rib. And then exhale to lower the chest back down. Inhale to lift up. And then exhale to lower back down. So a common mistake is letting go of the pelvis, lifting up, and then you'll feel that you are really hinging in the lower back, and that wouldn't be too comfortable. So lower the chest back down. Reset your pelvis, tuck your tail, get that length, squeeze the glutes. It should almost feel like somebody tightened a belt around your lower back. And then as you lift up, you might not even go as high, just to feel that you are moving more from the upper back and not so much from the lower back. Common mistake, especially if you are tight in your thoracic spine, is to lead from your cervical spine. So as you lift up, the chin will poke out, and you will feel that you're shortening a lot on the back of your neck. So then there's a lot of extension in your cervical spine, but not a lot of movement in your thoracic spine. So lower the chest back down. So pretend that you've got a little marble underneath your nose, hovering your nose just above the mat. As we start to lift up, Pretend that you are rolling your marble away from you until you can't anymore. Then you roll the marble a little bit further with your eyes. So your eyes is looking forward and down, not just straight up. Then maintain this position of the neck and see if you can lift up more from your chest bone. Very nice. And then exhale to lower your chest down. Listen to your spine. Not everybody can lift up very high in extension, so only go up as high as your back allows you to go. And then exhale to lower back down. Let's do 2 more and see if you can feel that the work is mainly coming from your upper back, middle back area. You might feel, like I said, those lower back muscles working, which is great. We want to strengthen them, but we don't want to hinge from the lower back joints. And then lower your chest down. From there, Lazan is going to sit back into her resting position. So this position is a really great stretch for your lower back. It's called the shell stretch, the child's pose, or the resting position. There's a few options. If you want to separate your knees a little bit wide, if that's more comfortable on your hips and on your knees and on your back, you are welcome to do that. And if you've got a sore shoulder, you might just want to bend your elbows and put them on the floor just to take any strain off the shoulder, but you are welcome to reach the arms out in front of you as well. From there, we are going to go onto your hands and knees. So, your 4-point kneeling position, you want to have your knees underneath your hips and you want to have your hands underneath your shoulders. If you want, you can separate your hands a little bit wider than your shoulders if that works better on your wrists. When you are standing on your hands, separate your fingers so that they are nice and wide. Your middle finger should face straight forward, and you want to feel that you are pressing down a little bit more on the pad of your thumb. So it's an active position. You can almost press your fingers a little bit into the floor as well, so you're not just hanging onto your wrists. If you've got some sort of old wrist injury or it's very sore to do that, you can stand on your fists. Or if your shoulder is really sore, then you can also go down on your forearms. It really depends on the specific exercise, but you are welcome to try out these modifications in the classes. Great, so from there, I want us to find that neutral position again in the pelvis. So let's start by tucking your tailbone into sad dog. You'll feel a little bit of a squeeze in the glutes, pulling in the tummy muscles, and then inhale, release to your happy dog. So let's allow the whole spine to move with us. So as you want to round all the way to the crown of your head. This is called your cat stretch. Also a really nice stretch for the lower back. And then inhale, happy dog your tail. Allow your ribs and tummy to hang out, and then lift up your head and chest. Exhale, round the spine, moving through your spine. It's the whole spine moving. And then inhale, happy dog, allowing your back to hollow out. Now we want to find a neutral position. So take your pelvis to that neutral position, halfway between happy dog and sad dog. You want to keep your tummy muscles and ribs just lifted. And then you also, when you lift up the ribs and the tummy muscles, you don't want to round the spine. So try and keep your spine straight. You will feel now that your shoulders also have to work quite hard. So try not to hang into your shoulder blades. You don't want to pull your shoulder blades together. So using your hands, push yourself away from the floor so that your shoulder blades go nice and wide on your rib cage so that they are quite flush with the ribs. Then we also don't want the head to hang. So try and lift from the back of your head, elongating through the neck. Again, we don't want that poking chin when you are at the top. Good. So a nice way to think about this position is if I put a stick on your back. You want to feel 3 points against the stick. So the first one is here in the middle, there where your mid back is just below the tips of your shoulder blades, where your tailbone is, and the back of your head. Now this is very rigid, and depending on your specific posture, you might not get all 3 points, but this is more or less what we are going for. So Lazan is going to try and keep this position with her spine. She's going to tuck her toes in underneath her, and then she is going to hover her knees just off the floor and then place her knees back down. Hover the knees and then round. So a common mistake is to round the spine to lift and then release back down. So try and think about the stick lying on your back and then we lift. Good. Let's do 2 more. So this is a little bit more challenging. And if you feel that you can't lift the knees off the floor, and it's a very small lift, a centimeter or so, then you can do an opposite arm and leg lift. So reach the right arm and the left leg out nice and long, still thinking about that invisible stick on your back, and then slide the arm and leg back in and then alternate to the other arm and leg. Good. So constantly go through your checklist. Where's the back of my head and neck? Are my shoulder blades still working? Is my pelvis still in a neutral position? Good. Let's do 1 more round. And then slide the arm and the leg back in. Then you can sit back in your resting position, give the wrists maybe a little bit of a roll or the shoulders a roll if you feel that they worked very hard. And then from there, Lazan is going to sit on the mat. So she's going to sit with her legs straight, and if you are usually not very supple, if you've got tight hamstrings, tightness in the lower back, that will probably be what your posture is looking like. So we've got a few modifications because we'd rather have a nice straight spine than straight legs. So just bend the knees a little bit, and that might already help you to sit up a little bit taller. The other option that we have is to have you sit on a rolled up pillow or a towel, or if you've got like a block like this, then you can sit on this as well. So let's place the block underneath you. Good. And then let's bend the knees for this one. So when you are in the seated position, you almost want to think a little bit happy dog, just to lengthen through the spine so that you are not in a rounded upper back position. The movement we are going to do next is called your half roll back, and the movement starts from the pelvis. So reach the arms forward, squeeze your buttocks, tuck your tailbone in, and then start to roll over your sit bones towards your tailbone just halfway. Stay for your inhale. And then exhale to curl your spine forward, reaching towards your feet, and then stacking the spine up until you are seated tall. Let's do 1 more like that. Squeeze the glutes, exhale to tuck and roll. Stay for the inhale, and then exhale to curl forward and stack the spine. Good. So a common mistake that we see is that people initiate from the thoracic spine. So round it. Oh, that's also a good one. Roll forwards. So start at the top, straight spine. Go into a thoracic flexion first, and then just lean back. Then you won't feel a whole lot of contraction in your lower tummy muscles and in your glutes, and then curl forward and stack the spine. What Lazan was also demonstrating was keeping your spine straight and leaning back, and you'll feel the tension in the neck and in the tummy muscles and in the lower back, and let's come up from there. Doesn't look comfortable at all. So we initiate from the pelvis. We need to squeeze the glutes, tuck, and exhale, roll back. It's a whole lot of tummy muscles. Pause there. Without dropping the chest more, can you tuck your tailbone in more? Yes. And then curl forward, and then stack the spine. Squeeze the glutes, exhale to tuck and roll back. Now, to come up, we also see now people lead from the pelvis. So they tilt their pelvis forward first, and then their upper body follows. And that might also feel a little bit uncomfortable. So when we go down, we start from the pelvis. We pause. When we come up, we lead from the head, the shoulders, and then the pelvis comes up all the way to the top. And then lower your arms. Well done. Let's stand up for our last exercise. So Lazan is going to stand here on the floor. Our last exercise, you can stand maybe a little bit more in the middle. Our last exercise is called your roll down. So to start with a roll down, you want to stand with your feet about hip distance apart and nice and upright in the spine. You can always also do this exercise with your back against the wall, and the wall just helps to give you a little bit of feedback to feel where you are in space. So on your exhale, you are going to nod your chin down to your chest, and as you roll down, you want to round your spine as much as you can. You are welcome to bend your knees as much as is needed because this is more of a back stretch than a hamstring stretch. Take a nice deep breath in at the bottom, and then on your exhale, curl your tailbone in underneath. You're thinking sad dog, and then using your tummy muscles, roll your spine up until you are standing up nice and tall. Let's go again. On your exhale, nod the chin, and think about going down one vertebra at a time. At the bottom, make sure your head, neck, and shoulders are nicely relaxed. We inhale, and then exhale to roll up through your spine again. Open the shoulders, and you've got a nice tall spine. So a few common mistakes that we see when we do the roll down is that people tend to bend only from the hips, keeping their spine flat. So on the exhale, you'll see that Lizanne's back does not bend. All the movement is coming from the legs, and then maybe at the end she'll drop her head and her shoulders. We stay at the bottom, and then exhale, curl your tailbone in and roll up. So when we do the roll down, we want to initiate from our heads. So instead of bending at the hips, we want to nod the chin, round your upper back, middle back, and lower back, and then at the end, bending through your hips. Then, to come up, we also see that people lift their heads up first and extending the spine, again hinging from the hips, and then using their back muscles to come up. So the aim of this exercise is to stretch the back. So we want to roll down, getting that nice stretch in the back, and we want to maintain that all the way up. So to come up, you want to initiate from the pelvis, keeping the head as heavy as you can, rolling up, and only at the end do you lift your head up until you are standing up tall. So let's do 2 more roll downs. You want to nod your chin to your chest. You want to bring your chest down towards your thighs as you roll down. Bend your knees if you need to. If you want to try and keep them a little bit straighter, you can do that as well. And then we roll up all the way, stacking the spine, getting a little bit of a sad dog tilt, and then open the shoulders at the top. 1 more. We exhale to nod the chin. Enjoy the stretch as you go down. So allow your head, neck, and shoulders to relax. Keep your tummy muscles pulled in so that you open up through your lower back. We inhale, and then we exhale to roll up all the way to the top. Very nicely done. Thank you for joining us for this tutorial. If you have any pains or problems doing the exercises that we did during this video, we do offer some one-on-one sessions via Zoom, and all the information to contact us and make appointments are in the description box below, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.